AnnyeongBuzz, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into the life and story of one of ENHYPEN's most important members, someone who has carried not only the role of a leader, but also the weight of being the youngest in the group at debut, Jungwon, or as we know him, Jungwon. Now, a lot of people already recognize Jungwon as the adorable yet strong leader of ENHYPEN, but when you look at his background, his journey, and even the little quirky facts about him, you realize just how unique he really is. And that's what I want to talk about with you all today. Not just the surface level facts, but also what those facts say about who he is as a person and as an artist. So let's start at the beginning. Jungwon was born on February 9, 2004. That makes him an Aquarius. And honestly, when you think about it, it makes sense. Aquarius signs are often known for their independence, their creativity, and also this kind of quiet leadership energy. Do you think that matches him? Because from what we've seen of Jungwon, he's not the loudest or flashiest member, but his presence is felt so strongly. I think that's exactly what makes him a good leader. Now, his stage name is Jungwon, but his English name is Johnny Yang. And honestly, I don't know about you, but I think Johnny Yang sounds like the name of a Hollywood star. Imagine if one day he actually does international projects using that name. Do you think fans would vibe with it? Or do you think they'd prefer he stick with Jungwon? I'm curious what you guys think. Let's talk about his trainee journey, because this is one of the most interesting parts of his story. He started as a trainee in January 2017, and guess where? SM Entertainment. That's right. He trained at SM for about a year, then later joined BigHit Entertainment before ending up on Island. And I think this really shows just how determined he was. A lot of people would have quit after switching companies or not debuting right away, but Jungwon kept going. He trained for a year and 4 months before Island, and boom, he ranked first place in the finale with over 1.4 million votes. Now, here's where I want to pause and hear your thoughts. Do you think Jungwon's leadership skills were already obvious during Island, or did he grow into that role after ENHYPEN's debut? Personally, I think we saw hints of it even back then. Even when he was nervous or unsure, he had this calm presence. But after debut, it's like he really grew into being the leader the group needed. Another thing I find so endearing about Jungwon is his nicknames. Garden, Sheep Garden, Yang Chamber. Like, fans really went all out. But my personal favorite has to be Garden, because his name literally means that in Korean. There's just something so soft yet powerful about that. I mean, think about it. A garden is calm and peaceful, but it also grows, adapts, and blooms in all conditions. That kind of fits him perfectly, right? And can we talk about his charm points? The dimple, the eye smile, and his shoulders. Honestly, his smile has saved me on bad days more times than I can count. He doesn't even have to say a word, he just smiles, and you feel lighter. And I know I'm not the only one who feels that way, so let me know if his smile has ever brightened your day too. Now here's something fun. Jungwon can apparently copy the sound of Squidward's footsteps. Like, who even discovers they can do that? That's such a random and oddly specific skill, but it also tells you a lot about his personality. He's not afraid to be a little silly or quirky even as the leader. And I think that's important because if a leader takes themselves too seriously, it can feel heavy for the group. But Jungwon balances that responsibility with playfulness. Speaking of balance, let's not forget, this boy did Taekwondo for 7 years. 7! And not just as a hobby. He was an athlete for 4 years. That discipline, that training, it definitely shows in his dancing. His movements are sharp, controlled, but also powerful. Honestly, I think Taekwondo shaped his performance style as much as his actual idol training did. What about you guys? Do you think his athletic background gives him that extra edge on stage? And then there are the little things that just make him more relatable. Like how he hates lying on the bed with socks on. Same, Jungwon, same. Or how he can't stand people chewing loudly. These tiny details might seem small, but they make idols feel more real. Like, they're not just perfect performers on stage, they're also people with little pet peeves just like us. But here's one detail that really stood out to me. His most precious object is a backpack he's had since 5th grade. Think about that. With all the fame, success, and luxury he has now, The thing he treasures most is something so simple, so personal, and so tied to his past. For me, that shows that Jungwon values memories and sentiment more than material things. And honestly, that makes me respect him even more. Alright, let's go deeper into his personality. Jungwon once said he used to not understand why idols felt energized by fans. But after receiving fan videos for himself, he realized what that meant. And I think that moment is so symbolic. It shows that as much as idols give us joy and strength, they also receive the same from us. It's like a two-way street. So now, I want to ask you guys, what's a moment where you felt Jungwon's connection with ENGENEs the strongest? For me, it was during their debut era, when you could just see how wide his eyes got looking at the crowd, like he couldn't believe it was real. Those little moments remind us of the human side of idols, and I think that's why fans feel so attached to him. And speaking of his personality, I think one of the most interesting things about Jungwon is his MBTI. Right now, it's ISTJ, but it used to be ESTJ. That shift is so fascinating because it shows how much he's grown and adapted. Maybe at first he came across as more extroverted, taking charge, but over time, as the responsibility of being a leader settled in, he might have become more reflective and introverted. Honestly, it makes sense. Being in the public eye can change the way you see yourself, and it can also bring out parts of you that you didn't realize were there. What do you think? Do you prefer Jungwon's more extroverted side or his calm, introverted side? Now, when it comes to role models, this probably doesn't surprise anyone. His role model is BTS's Jungkook. And let's be real, who better to look up to? Jungkook is the golden maknae, someone who's admired globally, not just for his talent, but also for his work ethic and character. And when you look at Jungwon, you can kind of see the influence. He's versatile, he's hardworking, and he carries himself with this quiet confidence. Do you think Jungwon might become the golden all-rounder of his generation, just like Jungkook? And while we're on the topic of dreams, Jungwon once said that if he could have a superpower, it would be the ability to make everything he says come true. Now imagine that for a second. If he said ENHYPEN will win Artist of the Year, it happens. If he said let's all meet ENGENEs in every country, it happens. Honestly, if anyone deserves that kind of power, it's him. But it also makes you wonder, if you had that power, what's the first thing you would make come true? I'd probably make sure ENHYPEN gets endless health and happiness. What about you? There's another detail that shows his mindset. When asked to describe himself in 3 words, he chose adaptability, balance, and absorptive. That last one, absorptive, is so unique. It's not a word you hear often, but it really defines him. He absorbs experiences, emotions, lessons, and uses them to grow. That's not easy to do, especially at such a young age, but Jungwon seems to have that gift. And then there's his lifelong goal, which I think is both funny and honest. He said he just wants to become handsome. On one hand, it sounds a little silly, but on the other, it shows how simple and straightforward he is. He's not overthinking it. He just wants to grow into someone admirable, someone who stands out. And let's be honest, he's already handsome. But I get the feeling that for Jungwon, handsome also means admirable in character, not just looks. Do you agree? Something else that fascinates me about Jungwon is how he combines discipline with softness. You know, 7 years of Taekwondo and still being the guy who loves winter, rainy walks, and ice cream flavors like Mom is an Alien. That mix of toughness and gentleness makes him so relatable. He's not trying to be perfect. He's just being himself. And that's probably why fans connect with him so much. And we can't forget how much the other members adore him. Even when they first met him, they thought he was cute. But beyond the cuteness, there's respect. Being the leader of a group where all the members are talented, passionate, and have their own strong personalities, that's not easy. Yet, Jungwon manages to hold them together, to be the balance. Sometimes you can see him acting like the youngest, and sometimes he's the most responsible one in the room. That duality is what makes him so special. Now here's where I want to hear from you. Do you think Jungwon gets enough credit as a leader compared to other 4th-gen leaders? Personally, I think sometimes he's underrated, and that's because he doesn't push himself into the spotlight in an obvious way. But that's exactly why he deserves more recognition. He leads not by being the loudest, but by being consistent, dependable, and authentic. So to wrap this up, Jungwon's story isn't just about a boy who became an idol. It's about resilience, adaptability, and heart. From training at multiple companies, to ranking first on Island, to carrying the responsibility of leading ENHYPEN, he's shown us time and time again that leadership doesn't always mean being the biggest voice in the room. Sometimes it means being the quiet strength that everyone can rely on. And maybe that's why fans love him so much. Because at the end of the day, Jungwon isn't just the leader of ENHYPEN. He's proof that even the youngest, even the quiet ones, can carry something as big as leading a global group. So now I'll turn it over to you. What is it about Jungwon that stands out the most for you? Is it his leadership, his quirks, his smile, or maybe the way he connects with ENGENEs? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I really want to hear your perspective, and maybe even debate a little. Does Jungwon deserve more recognition as a fourth-gen leader? Or do you think he's right where he should be? That's all for today's deep dive. Thank you so much for watching and hanging out with me. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. This has been AnnyeongBuzz, and I'll see you in the next video.